Every day I see you is a fine day.
The first official redraft is here. Logan is joining the show once again. We are going to be talking about the 2020 NBA draft. Looking back 5 years later, this is one of the weirdest drafts we've ever had. Obviously, the COVID pandemic was at the height of it, and no March Madness. I know as an Arizona fan, we had a decent team. We had Josh Green, Zeke Naji, Nico Mannion, and I was pretty optimistic, obviously, before the whole world shut down. I believe it was like right in the middle of conference tournaments, and we thought it would be a really fun idea to look back and redraft this draft. So, with that being said, Logan, number one pick, Minnesota Timberwolves are on the clock. Who are you picking in this redraft?
Yeah, it's still Anthony Edwards to me. I think he's the most talented guy in this draft, and he's led them to two Western Conference Finals. Not to mention the West, really tough in those years that it happened. I think it's easy for Anthony Edwards here.
Yeah, I would have to do the same thing if I had the first overall pick. In my big board back then, I was able to do a big board 5 years ago. I did have Ant at my number one pick. Interestingly enough, my top five, I'll give it for the audience. Number one, Anthony Edwards. Number two, I had a Okongwu from the
Ah,
University of Southern California. Number three, I was very much influenced by Kevin O'Connor. I had Killian Hayes at number three. Number four, LaMelo Ball. And number five, I had Tyrese Halliburton. So you can't hate on the Killian Hayes pick too much because I did have Halliburton. And then the rest of the top 10, Devin Vassell, Wiseman, Avdia, Maxey, I had at number nine, and Obi Toppin at number 10. So with that being said, that is my previous top 10, but the big board does look a little bit different. With the number two pick, the Golden State Warriors, it's between two guys for me, but I have to go with Halliburton. Tyrese
that's who I
Halliburton, I
got.
think him, with what we know now, I definitely could have worn my Sacramento Kings Halliburton jersey that I did get because I love the way he played at Iowa State and the beginning of his rookie year before he had that injury, I believe, later on in his rookie season. Just the way he would have played with Steph Curry, I think he definitely would have helped that unit in the 2022 title. I think he would have been fit in seamlessly as a more of a off-ball player and then on ball, I think later on. I think right now, if he was still in the Warriors, he would be leading the way with Curry. And Curry, I think, definitely could have taken a back seat to him and kind of let him run the show. So with the second pick, I'm going with Halliburton.
Yeah, I agree with Halliburton. Um, Made it to the finals. He's such an offensive engine. I feel like you can't pass that up. Number three. I was stuck between two players, as I'm sure all of these picks will be, but I ended up going with Maxey here. I think it's just another offensive engine type of guy. He's got all the speed. He's such a good shooter, lateral quickness, and whatnot. Um, what about you at
I
number
think it's
three?
between a couple guys, actually. I think the Maxi pick is good. In terms of the next pick, I think is where it gets a little tougher. But Maxi for sure. It was between Halliburton and Maxi for me for the second and third pick. But I do. It's a great pick. Maxi obviously he's taken another leap, which was hard to comprehend even 5 years ago, even a couple of seasons ago. So
Hmm.
I like that pick. He's definitely one of my favorite Kentucky guards in the league. With the number four pick, this is really where it starts to get a split between the picks that actually happened. The Bulls obviously picked Patrick Williams, and then we're getting Isaac Okoro, Okongwu, and Killian Hayes as the next couple picks in the actual 2020 draft. So for number four, I think this is between a couple guys. I got to go with Desmond Bain. I think obviously he
Mm.
had some struggles in Orlando, but I think he would have been a huge piece for the Chicago Bulls moving forward. I would have loved to see as it kind of shapes out now him and Giddy as a backcourt. I think that would be super exciting. So I'll have to go with Desmond Bain.
Hmm. So do you want me to say who I put it for then? Is this how we're
Yeah,
gonna do
go for
it?
it. And then you can give the
Yeah.
next pick.
Number four, I went with Denny. I think it's just like the idea of him back then was really enticing. Just this big guy who can push the ball up the floor and get to the rim. Andy's so quick, and now he's finally like really showing it off. Especially with the injuries that the Blazers are having right now. With no Scoot, no Holiday, he's really taken on a playmaking role. He's had multiple double-digit assist games. I think he's turned into a really good player, and I was so close to putting him three over Maxey. So now moving on to number five, I got, oh man, do I want to change it on the spot? Nope. I'm gonna stick with it. Number five, I'm gonna go with LaMelo Ball still. I think, I always wonder, like, we talked about we do some what ifs. What if he just went to a franchise that was super serious in the moment, good system all around? Could he have been just a really serious player? Now, a lot of it's not his fault. He does have these nagging ankle injuries, which are just tough to deal with. But I still love the talent and the idea of what he can be as this 6'8" playmaker and shooter. He's so quick and flashy. I just wish we could see him. But you know what? This is what everyone's been saying forever. That we wish we could see him on a winning team. But this year with the Hornets, it's been good. I think this is the best Hornets team maybe that they've had. Maybe not record wise because it did make the play in one year, but I think talent wise, this is their best team they've had. And of course, he still had some ankle injuries, but he's had some good games. And I was between him and Bane, who you took earlier.
Yeah, that would have been funny to have a potential backcourt of LaMelo and his brother Lonzo. I also think the domino would have fallen of if LaMelo got drafted by the Cavaliers in our hypothetical draft. Would they have taken Garland the next year? I believe he was in the 2021 draft. I don't think they would. But also thinking about him, LaMelo, and Donovan Mitchell in a backcourt is fascinating because Mitchell being the superstar that he is, the defense I think would struggle a bit just because LaMelo is I'm not saying he's not gonna make a all NBA defensive team anytime soon. So that would be really fascinating for Cleveland. That's something fun with these redrafts is the trajectory of these players' careers really depends on the situation that they're at. That's kind of how it is for the NBA and how it is for the NFL with quarterbacks. It really depends on where you go. So Avdia is six, really having a lot of success for the Trailblazers, and he was at the Wizards. So it might have just taken a new situation for him to really show his talents that he's done so far this season. Number six, my third pick of this redraft, I think I gotta go with, as I was talking about, I gotta go with Denny Avdia. I think the way he's played this season and especially carrying that momentum that he did show, the potential that he showed last season near the end. I know he was going off, and the way he's carried that into this season is really impressive. So with the number six pick in our redraft, I'm going with Denny Avdia.
Yep. My number six, I got Bane here finally. And not much need to be said. You kind of already went over it. Number seven. Um, Shoot, this might be something I kind of want to change on the spot now. Uh, Gosh. Yeah, number seven. I'm gonna go with Okongwu now. He's he was behind Clint Capella for so many years in the rotation, and he was always so good. And last year, he finally kind of took over as a starting role, and he was amazing with it. Now, even this year, he's been fantastic. He's got a three-point shot developed, and he's been taking them. He had a game where he took 12 of them, which was crazy. But I think he fits really well as a modern day big. Defense, some playmaking, shooting, passing, and whatnot. I think that's an archetype every team would love to have, especially with this improved shooting.
Yeah, I like that pick. Obviously, a Kongu, kind of why I had him, if I remember correctly, as my second overall pick. I just love the size and athleticism. I believe he was in that Chino Hills lineup with LaMelo and Lonzo and LiAngelo. So there was that kind of Chino Hills bias
Really?
because I did love watching those highlights back in the day. But I just think the athleticism and that three-point shot is always something you want with the big man. So now that he's kind of adding that to his repertoire is something really exciting for his potential going forward in the league. With the eighth pick, this is really where it starts to get nut crunching time because a lot of these guys are really close. I have some names of some players that I do really like I don't know. I think I might have to go with. I'm choosing between two guys. I'm gonna go with the first one. I think Devin Vassell. I have to go with him. I did forget that he was in this draft before going back and doing some research. He was my sixth overall in my big board back then, and I think just that Spurs backcourt, like we talked about on our last podcast, is just ridiculous. They're gonna have to choose, I think, between two or three of them in the future, but I think Devin Vassell, he has to go with, especially the shooting that he's shown and just his versatility for the Spurs.
Mhm. Um, all right, number 8, I got Jaden McDaniels. I love this kind of archetype, just super long wingspan, super tall, awesome on defense, and he can shoot and he's got a little bit off the bounce, off the dribble. He's had some really good scoring games when Anthony Edwards is out. He kind of just takes over. Especially, I think about last year when he just kept blowing by Luka Doncic in the playoffs. But I remember liking him a lot, in his early years. And people kind of like were making fun of the Wolves when they did the Gobert trade because the thing was like, oh yeah, we gave all those picks, but we didn't get rid of Jaden McDaniels. But he hadn't really done much yet. So a lot of people were kind of clowning it like, oh, Jaden McDaniels, wow, you got to keep him. But he's proved himself as a really good 3-and-D player in this league, and I love his size and his length. So I'm gonna go with McDaniels here at number 8.
Or would that be number nine then?
Um, number 8 for me because I did
Oh,
it
number eight.
probably
Got you.
7.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
So with the 10th overall pick,
Wait, did you do 9 already?
yeah, so we got so far, just to review, Ant, Halliburton, Maxey at three, Bain and Ball 4 and 5, and then we got Avdia,
Yeah.
Okongwu, Vassell, and then McDaniels. So we're on 10.
Okay, so you did McDaniels at 9. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All
I had
right.
him at nine.
Okay, I'll give you
Um,
my 9 then was Najee Marshall then.
got you, got you.
Finally went undrafted. His development has been so spectacular. He came in really in his early years was just like a 3-and-D energy guy, but then he really developed like playmaking and passing. Like he's got a nice floater in his game too. Like he really kind of improved a lot once he got to the Mavericks this past year. Remember when they signed him, it was like a 4-year, 32 million deal, and I was like, that's a steal for the Mavericks. At that time when they had Luka, I was like, that's a perfect fit. Now the fit's a little weird because they have all these forwards, but his playmaking's been a really great development story.
So
Uh,
with my 10th pick in this redraft, I'm just writing down who we're picking. So for 10, I got Aaron Nesmith, and then for 11, you want to take Najee Marshall then?
um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So I got Nesmith, and then you got McDaniels at number 11. With the 12th pick, I'm just writing them down like as we say them. I didn't really have like a specific order for me. I was just doing like all of our picks in a row. Number 12, I would have to say on the redraft, there's a lot of these guys are very similar to me, but I got to go with my guy Peyton Pritchard. I think I know KOC had him in the 30s in his big board. I just think he's doing a lot better than I expected just because his size. What he showed at Oregon was ridiculous. He was kind of like the West Coast Trae Young back in the day. Like he was there for 4 years, just killing teams. I remember when Arizona would play Oregon, I would always hate to play him because I knew he was going to probably drop 20 or 30 and just pulling. I think he's a more likable Trae Young just because he's fit well into the Celtics rotation now, especially with Tatum out. Celtics, 3 seed. We're doing it. I can't wait to get back onto our league pass grind with the rankings and all that. So, with that being said, number 12, I gotta take Pritchard.
all right. My next pick, I will go with Sadiq Bey. He missed a year with the ACL injury, but he came back and he hasn't really been missing a step at all. He's still a knockdown shooter on high volume, good size, good frame, got a little bit of playmaking to his game, a really good rebounder too. I think that's just an archetype every team in this league will want. And it was unfortunate he got hurt, but he's bounced back pretty well and he's been looking good.
With us being, about roughly halfway through this draft, out of Wiseman, Okoro, Killian Hayes, and Jalen Smith, out of that top 10 picks that really didn't turn out to what people expected, who's been the most disappointing for you?
It has to be James Wiseman just because he was number two, and it was like the Warriors. They got their big man. They had their gap year. They got the big man that they need, but it was like he never really was gonna fit just because he was super slow and didn't provide much on defense, and his playmaking wasn't really developed yet, and the shooting was kind of horrible. I gotta say it's him just because he was drafted number two.
I think they're probably the biggest loser in terms of just this draft looking back because they could have taken any of these guys other than Wiseman, and they definitely would have helped win the 2022 title and maybe even more because just thinking about the Warriors with Halliburton, Maxey, Bane, LaMelo even because I really did want them to take LaMelo at number two because I thought him and Curry would be fascinating seeing how they would handle like two kind of ball dominant guys, but LaMelo can be unselfish and I think he would have really flourished and even Avdia on the Warriors would have been fascinating. Vassell, another shooter. Just any scenario other than this one is something that I really think the Warriors, looking back on it, obviously they have that 2022 title to hang their hat on, and obviously the ones with Curry and Kevin Durant and all that, but they're probably the biggest loser in this draft. With that being said, the number 14 pick in this draft, it's close between a lot of these guys because a lot of these guys are bench players, but I do like the way some of them play. I think I got to go with quickly. Emmanuel quickly.
Yep, good pick. I had him. I had him coming up soon. So what are we on now? 15?
Yep.
15. My bad on the confusion earlier. I thought we were doing like we would pick what we would have done for each team,
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
not like rotating down, but
It's
we're
all
good
good. The
now.
first redraft, we're working out the kinks.
hmm All right, so if I will go with Isaiah Stewart, I think could he be the best backup center in the league? Probably, at least top three. Um, but he is a double double machine whenever he gets a lot of minutes. He's just a bruiser, a big body, just super physical too, and he can shoot. He's got a lot of energy. I think that's a great piece to have coming off on your bench. Yeah. Ooh. Do the Pistons have the best center rotation in the league with Durant and Stewart? Unless you want to say like Chet Hartenstein, even though they start together.
I think it's
I don't
between
know.
those two.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, anyways, on my pick, I'm going with Stewart. I think he's just a bruiser and he can shoot, which is cool.
I mean, you gotta love that. I love that in today's NBA. If you can shoot, a player that I did have a huge miss on, I am interested to see if you had a player that you loved and absolutely missed on them. I am still a big fan of KOC, so I definitely take his notes I take him to heart. So I was watching a lot of tape on Tyrell Terry. I had him at number 11 on my big board, and it just did not work out for him. He was probably my biggest miss in terms of this big board. Obviously, I had James Wiseman at number 7, but he was kind of a consensus like top 10 pick, even a top 5 pick back then. So Tyrell Terry is probably my biggest miss. Did you have a player that was your biggest miss in this draft?
Um, I don't know if I guess RJ Hampton was a miss. I thought I thought he could be kind of like what I thought he could almost be like a LaMelo, just a shorter LaMelo. Granted, this is 2020, so I wasn't too deep into the research of players and everything. But I remember being a big fan of him, and it just never really worked out for him. But he was a key in that Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets trade because it was like young player and two firsts for Aaron Gordon, and RJ Hampton was in that trade. So was it a bad pick? I don't know because they got Aaron Gordon out of it.
It's funny to look back on all the trades because I mean, just looking at the draft, it's a lot of picks. It's even worse nowadays. The Brooklyn Nets from the Pistons via the Heat. Like it's just the list of picks and where all these picks go is absolutely crazy because the Celtics actually did in this draft in the second round draft Desmond Bane, which obviously was shipped off. But just the thought of Desmond Bane on the Celtics is really breaking my brain because that would have totally changed their trajectory as a franchise. Number 16 in the first official 2020 NBA redraft. I just got to go with shooting here. I got to go with Isaiah Joe.
Nice. I like it. I was thinking about doing him soon. He's so good. He's such a good shooter.
Hmm.
Um, so my next pick, shoot, I actually was thinking about taking him. You took quickly, right?
I got him at 14.
Oh God. I
It's
don't even
actually
want to
funny
take.
before your pick. I was just looking at the order and Oklahoma City at 17, or I guess, yeah, at 17 had
Yeah.
Poku, and at 16 I just drafted Isaiah Joe. So that, I just wanted to mention that before your pick, but I think
Hmm.
that's funny.
Yep. Tank and Thunder. Um, I feel like I have to do it, even though I don't want to. I'm gonna take Toppin. He's on the board, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take Toppin. I mean, he was kind of a big key in the playoffs for Indiana. You know, they went small ball, and some of the times that they benched Turner, they went Toppin at five, and he was pretty good. He knocks down his threes. He's a really good vertical spacing threat, and I think he fits well with what the Pacers want to do. And it's unfortunate that he's hurt right now, but I think he's going to be a big key for them next season.
As we get kind of towards the end of the draft, a lot of these players could go to the teams that did draft them. I'm looking at like Josh Green, Zeke Naji. Obviously, some of the guys later on, like Pritchard and Quickly and McDaniels, are already taken. But I think 18, instead of taking Josh Green, I think the Mavericks, I think they'd be happy with Precious Achiuwa at this spot.
That's good. That's a good pick. Um, he was a piece in that Lowry deal to the Heat, I remember. I'm happy he's still in the league too. It's kind of weird how he was like kind of getting phased out, it seemed like. You know, I know the league's really deep and whatnot, but I'm glad he's still in the league, like, because he should be. He's a really good defensive player, and uh I mean, yeah, shout out to him for sticking through it, but I didn't think it would be like so questionable that he's still in the league, you know, because I remember last year, like the Knicks kind of took a while to sign him late into like the preseason and whatnot, and then he wasn't really signed to this year until the Kings snagged him early into the season. But yeah, my next pick, I am going to take someone that went in the second round. I'm going to take Vit Krejci. He has been one of my favorite players ever since he got into the league. Um, like if we ever do like an all NBA love list, he's definitely on one of my teams. He is, oh my God, he's so good. He's 6'8". He can dribble the ball. He can play defense. He's a flashy passer. And he's shooting 46% from three on 5.6 attempts a game. He is a flamethrower from three. And he kind of always kind of was, you know, he's had low volume attempts in the past seasons, but this season he's really just hucking them up. I mean, he's changed games for Atlanta. He had six threes last night, but there's been some games this season where he just knocks down five threes in the third quarter, and it's like, what the hell happened? Atlanta's now winning by 15, and it's because Vit Krejci comes in and he's just hucking away from three. And then, as I mentioned, he's also 6'8" and can dribble a lot, and that's just one of my favorite kind of archetypes in this league. If you're that tall and you can dribble, and he's got the best nickname in the league, probably Heat Check, because he's checking,
That's
and
huge.
he's
That's
just a
my favorite.
flame. He's just a flamethrower off the bench from three. So Heat Check, it's awesome.
After we get through the rest of these picks, I am fascinated to get your take on the situations that these players in our hypothetical draft end up in. A player that I think would fit perfectly in Heat culture with the number 20 pick, Cole Anthony.
Yeah, no, I agree. He had some triple doubles early in his career with the Magic. Um, just kind of unfortunate that he kind of got bogged out of the rotation, just depth wise and whatnot. And then the trade to Memphis, it was kind of like, oh yeah, there's even more guards on this team. What's going to happen?
Hmm.
But he found a good spot in Milwaukee. They needed him to they just need him in that guard rotation. My next pick, I'm going to take Trey Jones. He's been really good off the bench for Chicago this year. Um, just a stable playmaking guy, just typical point guard that you want. I think he's better than Tyus Jones ever was. Hot take. Probably not a hot take, but I do believe that he's Trey Jones is really good. And yeah,
He's kind of the perfect, as you mentioned, archetype of solid backup point guard, someone that you really want to give the car keys to of your second unit. So, I mean, that's a great pick. He was definitely one of the players that I I should have put on my big board, but I was like, I don't know if he'll make it in the top 20 as he just made it at number 21. Number 22, I think the Nuggets have. It's funny because I have a lot of Arizona guys on pretty much the rest of my big board. So it's between Zeke Naji and Josh Green. And I think Josh Green really could have been Christian Braun or Christian Brown before Christian Brown. So I'm going to have to go with Josh Green for the Nuggets at 22.
I like it. He'd be a pretty good fit with Jokic as a cutter and defending shooter, you know. Um, I will go with I'm gonna take another bowl. I'm gonna go with Jalen Smith, who was the ninth pick in this draft. And it's kind of weird. Like the Suns just never played him. And then it was one of the rare decline the third year team option, but it's rare for like a lottery pick to get their option declined. And then they trade him to Indiana, and he kind of was good for them. And then whenever the Bulls signed him, I thought it was an awesome fit because he's a shooting big man who can give you a little bit of defense, but he's a pretty good rebounder too. He's really productive off the bench, and this year he is shooting 35% from three on 3.7 attempts a game. So if you're getting that out of your backup big, I think that's really good. And I feel like every time I watch the Bulls, I always see him make the shots, even though the percentages all don't indicate that. But yeah, I'll go Jalen Smith.
I know it's crazy to think about those guys in the top 10. That was one of the big things I definitely did want to hit on the Jalen Smith getting declined. It's crazy how I mean, Chicago is probably not too happy with the Patrick Williams. Number four, obviously Golden State we mentioned with number two. Killian Hayes, even for Detroit. Like, if Detroit would have ended up with a Kongwu instead of Hayes, I think they would have totally been really happy with that. 24 in Milwaukee, I think Zeke Naji would have to be my pick here. I think he would do really well alongside Giannis. I know he's been stashed on the Nuggets bench for a while, but I think he's shown some flashes, and I think just 3 and D wings, I think could thrive, especially across the court from Giannis.
Mhm. Um, my next pick, I'm actually going to take a guy you just named. No, it's like Patrick Williams. Um, his reputation is just tarnished by his contract. I still think he's a good player, just like 3 and D wise. Kind of a red flag though. We just did this worst contracts draft. Give you a little update on this. The Bulls are finally healthy, like fully healthy. No one on their injury report, and he's been playing the least amount of minutes in that rotation. They've gone to 11 guys in the rotation, but he played 5 minutes the other night, and I think last night he played about 7 or 8. But just big red flags on the just for that contract. But I still think like on the basis 3 and D, I'll take it.
With the last pick in the 2020 NBA redraft, I got to take this guy because he is an Arizona guy. He had a really good season with some flashes for Arizona in 2020. The Red Mamba, as some know, Nico Mannion, I have to take him at number 26. I think the Boston Celtics would have been really happy with him here. He would have been Pritchard before Pritchard. He would have been a stud in Boston. Obviously, his NBA career didn't really turn out the way that people expected, as he had a decent rookie season as a backup for Steph Curry. But then he decided to take a bigger opportunity and go, I believe, to Italy, where I think he has some family ties, and I think he's had some success over there. I know he dealt with Unfortunately, it was I think he had like a stomach bug or something, and he got
I,
really
I
sick
got
from
it
it.
here.
Yeah, he got
It
really
was
sick, got really skinny, and I think he's like bounced back. I don't have specific stats, but if you had more info on that, I think he would have been a really fun pick for Boston if he would have stayed, obviously, in the NBA.
Yeah, it was a severe intestinal infection, and then parentheses salmonella contracted at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Lost 20 pounds. Oh God. Oh, dude, that's horrible.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
because he was so fun to watch, and I really thought he was going to be Steph Curry's backup, but Podziemski really kind of took he market corrected Nico Mannion, and so that's the end of the draft. I do want to give a little recap on some of the picks. So us consensus number one pick Anthony Edwards. I think obviously he had some questions. I wasn't gonna put him down back then on the big board. I just thought the athleticism was out of control, and the Georgia team he was on, I mean, he really couldn't do much with it. So he was gonna obviously be the guy that took all those shots because he did get some slack when he was drafted for the shot taking that he did take. Number two, the Golden State Warriors take Tyrese Halliburton and they're pretty much set for the rest of the 2020s. It would have been fascinating to watch that team in the 2022 finals with Boston. Tyrese Maxey in Charlotte, I think, would be really exciting. I think it would be interesting to see his development progress and if he would have brought them any more success than LaMelo has. For Chicago, Desmond Bain, I really like that hypothetical pairing. LaMelo and Cleveland with potentially Donovan Mitchell is a fascinating what if. Your guy Avdia, Atlanta, with in the Hawks situation with Trey Young, it would have been interesting to see his development. I think that wasn't it the 2021 that they went to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he probably would have been a big part of that with I think
hmm
him just being in Washington really kind of nobody really was talking about him, and then he really has shined in Portland. So number six with that, Detroit at number seven getting a Kongwu, I think it would have given them another center. Obviously, Duran and Stewart have been great, but I think a Kongwu and Duran would have been really fascinating for them. Number eight, Devin Vassell on the New York Knicks. That would have been really fun with Brunson
hmm
and all the hypotheticals. I know that it's a butterfly effect of a lot of these moves might not have happened, but Brunson and Vassell and all the guys they have right now, Mitchell Robinson, it would have been really fun to see him in the purple and orange. Jaden McDaniels at number nine to the Wizards. I think this is a situation where he probably could have been one of those players that what if would have happened to him. I think he ended up in a really good situation.
hmm Yeah, that could have gone south if he got to Washington and they just have been horrible for the last 5 years. Who knows?
Number 10, the Phoenix Suns draft Aaron Nesmith. I think that would have been really good. Him alongside Booker, he kind of could have been like a Dylan Brooks
hmm
right now because the way that he took off in the postseason last year was crazy. He hit some crazy shots. Obviously, he did play really well in that Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics. I remember him hitting some really clutch shots. He's got the flamethrower. He's one of the best guards in the league when he's hot because the run that he had against, I think it was against the Knicks when he hit all those shots down the end was ridiculous. So I think the Suns would have been really happy to have him. At number 11, the San Antonio Spurs get a guy that I think they honestly might have liked to have better than Vassell and Jaden McDaniels. I think he would have been
Wait, I thought he
oh
went to
no,
Washington.
who did we have at number 11? We got nine, and then did we double pick him?
I think this is where our confusion first
Oh,
happened.
okay. Okay. So number
Was it Pritchard or Marshall, maybe?
Oh, it was Marshall. Okay, so
It was
11 would
Marshall.
be Marshall. Okay. I wrote McDaniels for some reason. So Najee Marshall ends up in San Antonio. So would you think they'd rather have Vassell or Marshall? I think it would. That's interesting. What if?
For right now, probably Marshall. Just you got less guards that you need to make sure you get the ball with, and I think them having Champagny and Barnes as like their starting forwards or like their main forwards that they play, I think they would. I think they would appreciate having Najee Marshall right now
A
because
player
that gives you.
that
No, that's it.
oh, yeah, no, no,
I was
you're
gonna
good.
say that just gives Harper and Fox and Castle more room to do what they do.
No, for sure. The player that I was gonna bring up, another player that really would have ended up in a worse situation in this redraft, Peyton Pritchard at number 12 to the Kings. I think his career would not have turned out how it would have if he would have gotten to that horrible point guard hell that they're in right now. Dennis Schroeder for the Kings. He really pulled up clutch. I was seeing what he did in that overtime game. That was absolutely crazy. I love that guy. Watching him at the Olympics take over for Germany was definitely one of the highlights of I watched that the documentary that they made about that, and seeing him get fired up with Germany was definitely one of the highlights of that. The Pelicans at number 13 get Sadiq Bey. 14, Boston gets Emmanuel Quickly. Could have probably been a Peyton Pritchard fill in that would have really fit in seamlessly. Isaiah Stewart to the Magic at 15. Isaiah Joe to the Pistons at 16. I think instead of Isaiah Stewart, you would have kind of lost the toughness for the shooting. 17, Obi Toppin to the Thunder. Definitely would have been a really strong wing for them. 18, Dallas gets Precious Achua. 19, we have your guy, the Heat check. We got him at number 19. Number 20, the Heat take Cole Anthony. 21, the Sixers take Trey Jones. 22, the Nuggets take Josh Green. 23, the Knicks did draft Leandro Balmero, and instead of him, they get Jalen Smith. 24, RJ Hampton is swapped out for Zeke Naji. 25, the Knicks get Patrick Williams. And 26, the Celtics get Nico Mannion instead of Peyton Pritchard. So your thoughts on the 2020 NBA redraft?
It's a good draft. Looking back, I forgot how many good names came out of this. And how about some late bloomers too? Someone like Isaiah Joe, who was in the 76ers, and they just let him walk for nothing. They just let him walk after 1 year, and then Thunder are like, yeah, we'll take him. And then he ended up being such a good player. The Najee Marshall development was nice. Vit Krejci coming in after these last 2 seasons, he's been really good. But yeah, good year just for like developing guys. And, it was also a year where the number one pick, I don't think there's any question that it wasn't ever going to be Edwards on any redraft and whatnot. So, yeah, pretty strong draft.
I'd say the biggest loser, Golden State Warriors. I'd say
Yeah.
the biggest winner has multiple teams that could be the loser being the Warriors in real life, but the hypothetical winner, I think, being the Warriors getting Halliburton is huge. I think Maxey going to Charlotte is an upgrade. I think another loser, I don't know. I mean, thinking about the losers, maybe the Celtics, because Pritchard has been so fun for them. But I just think this draft in general is really strong. I don't know if it stacks up against last year's draft, just because these rookies are incredible. But I think it's definitely, if I were to give it a grade, I would probably give it I'd give it like a B plus.
Yeah, that's good. Especially for it being COVID, no March Madness. You couldn't bring guys in for workouts. I think, some guys went really late where they should not have gone, but it was still a good draft.
Thanks for joining for our first official redraft.
Thanks for having me.